eternity now, we're not going to keep having this story that bought a rig 1980, bought a rig 1980. It is nonsense. What we saw in 2026 across board, nobody is going to do so. I am the one who's going to call out you, Mohozi. Please grow up. Grow up. The malpractices which took place. If there was people who went out of their way, if you had these RDCs pulling guns like they did, they pulled guns on me. Yes, I have a right to complain. In Lira City, I have never seen the sort of deployment which I saw in this election. I don't know if people saw the footages. You find a single file of maybe 2,000 people, 2 kilometers, walking around the city. But there were things which are happening behind the scenes. I distributed letters for agents on the night before. When you moved around the city, you found these people, of course, the ones on foot on patrol. Then I found 2 company strength units on motorcycles, and plus 2 gangs on motorcycles with sticks and moving around. Some of these were threatening our leaders. Election day, the failure of the BVVK machines left us all in confusion. In Lira City, our agents were chased from the Electoral Commission stores at 6:45 in the morning. In other words, I lost sight of all the voting material at 6:45 in the morning. They did not appear in many of the polling stations until after 2 p.m. As we investigated where they were and what was happening, there were many things we came across, which I must state clearly, my views at the end of an election is the people who must be the winners. And you see it and their attitude, celebration, satisfaction. The process of election, we debate ideas, we debate issues of where the problems of Uganda are or where the issues are. And hopefully it is well expressed at the end. What took place was, at least in Lira, this result of Lira is the army decision of, not the decision of the voters. And in some of these issues, I must thank God. I thank God for small mercies, because I can say this clearly without any fear of contradiction. After what took place in Lira City, there is no way, anywhere under the sun that Yoweri Museveni can continue talking about Milton Obote and the 1980 elections. It's not possible. You cannot have it on the same plane. You go to that extent of rigging. The army took over the whole place. We don't have any idea where the material was. And this was the excuse for going to the bush. Elections were rigged. Army involvement. Honestly. For all eternity now, we're not going to keep having this story that bought a rig 1980, bought a rig 1980. It is nonsense. What we saw in 2026 across board here, and I think here in Uganda, people are a bit scared to touch on this issue. The office you hold is a very high office. And the fact that you are son of a president, you must also watch your words and your actions. The sort of attitude and the sort of statements which have been coming out of the office of the CDF is an embarrassment to all of us as Ugandans. I must put this one clear, record. It's an embarrassment. How can you talk about torturing or killing a person who stood in a presidential election and had a backing of over 2 million Ugandans according to the Electoral Commission? A leader of a party which has representation in the parliament of Uganda, the leading party in Uganda, and you want to treat it like, or treat the leader like some sort of punk? Honestly, what's happening in Uganda? Let's be honest with ourselves. What are we doing or what are we saying? If nobody is going to do so, I am the one who's going to call out you, Mohozi. Please, grow up. Grow up. The responsibility which you want to assume as the President of the Republic, you cannot be behaving like this. You cannot. As Ugandans, we cannot be having this sort of issue. We cannot be in a situation whereby we're going to expect anybody who disagrees, we're going to face a firing squad, or you're going to be put in a basement, you're going to be taught some language you don't know. That should not be happening in Uganda, not in 2026. Not on the question of where we talk about democracy, elections. If the resources of your country, my country, are being misused, they're being treated as if they belong to a political party, they're being used to undermine the democracy, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be cheering? Not me. As somebody who comes from a political point of view, that the resources of Uganda are for all the citizens of Uganda, irrespective. It's not for UPC, it's not for NRF, it's for every citizen. The services are for every citizen. And there are people who are treating it like their own personal resources. Doing favors for friends. Let's do things for Uganda. At the end of this election, Uganda should be the winner. We are disappointed on what took place. After the 2021 election, President Yoweri Museveni mentioned that the conduct of his people were unchristian. Another word for unchristian would be morally wrong, because there was funding due to the parties under IPOD which was not released. So in January 2021, President Yoweri Museveni says that his people were unchristian in releasing this money. We come to 2025, all throughout, we don't get this money. On the processes leading to this election, we see some gimmicks being played on the floor of Parliament. It was one of the sessions where I became very emotional on the floor of Parliament. That's the time I said that this is my last time in Parliament. I could see people doing machinations to deny the political parties resources. But they hide under the guise of, you cannot speculate. The rules of Parliament don't allow you to speculate. But even if I know what you're trying to do to me is going to hurt the parties, I'm not allowed to speculate. That's why I became emotional. What did they go and do? And how did I describe them? I described their behavior as diabolical. Diabolical means of the devil. Fiendish. That was before election. Now we've gone through another election. What do you describe these people as? Beyond diabolic, satanic. Satanic. Their behavior is completely satanic. They have no concern about Uganda. It's about what they can grab for themselves. As IPOD, we're trying to build political parties which can outlast us, which can help anchor our democracy. These are after grabbing, after stealing, and after disorganizing the party. Where are they thinking they're taking this country? But if there's something, if there's some substance on what somebody is complaining about, it needs to be heard. If there's malpractices which took place, if there was people who went out of their way, if you had these RDCs pulling guns like they did, they pulled guns on me, yes, I have a right to complain. They have no right to pull a gun on me. For what? I even have to tell one of them, okay, next time you pull that gun, be ready to use it. Be ready to use it. Because you can't just pull a gun. For what? I'm not threatened. If you pull the gun and you want to shoot, shoot. I was here to defend what I stood for, defend what I spoke for. I didn't come with guns. I came with ideas.